What's up, everybody? It's your favorite disappointments favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Unique Toys Red Destroyer, their take on Stinger, which is from the kind of Bayverse stuff, the movie universe, live action, of course. This is on loan to me from Scott M, co-host of Now and Then on Patreon, so I appreciate him in numerous ways. But right out of the box, I didn't feel great about this guy, and we'll have to see if that continues throughout the review. But the only way to do that is to review it, and the only way to review it is to start with accessories. So he comes with a yellow colored head, which I don't remember the reference to this. I'm not the expert on those movies by any stretch of the imagination, nor do I care to be, but I still don't recall this. Either way, it's sculpted nicely and painted nicely, but I just don't get it. Maybe it fits on another figure. I'm not sure. He comes with this gun, sculpted beautifully, painted beautifully. No complaints there. You got the silver paint. You have some accents along the way here. It's the red, the burgundy on top of the black. Works quite nicely. And that will peg into the side of his arm here as like an arm cannon. Tight connection, but it'll work. You also get this like blade, but it's, I don't want to sound nitpicky, man, but like there's all this mechanical stuff going on in here, but none of it's painted. It feels like this should all be painted a different color than the red blade to me. Other than that, it's sculpted nicely. And there is a tab here right below where we put the gun on the other side that you can utilize this either way. I guess it makes more sense to have it out that side. But then he has this kind of armed up blade there. He gets two of these kind of like blades, slash more blades or rockets maybe, I don't know. They're just black plastic. And they, once again, utilize that same peg system on the side of his arm. The kind of like little blades here, they can plug in to the side of the vehicle mode kind of, but it's not the best look. A little overstated. And it doesn't hold nice. I'm not sure if it's intended to go there or not, but it kind of fits. You get these, they're like, you get two of them. They're a set of 3 rockets. Once again, just black plastic. You're not gonna believe this, but once again, they can be utilized on the forearm peg system. The rockets can be plugged into the alt mode and sit alongside the vehicle, which I think actually looks pretty cool. It's understated, it's subtle, you know, but dangerous. I dig it. And lastly, you get a bunch of these little blades on C-clips as replacement pieces. These are the things that sit around the tire. I guess they were worried about breakage. So let's go ahead and take a look at the figure, and we'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis. I think it looks good. You know, I think it's sculpted well. It's painted clean. The black and green are painted. I'm not sure about the red. I don't think so. I think it's the type of plastic. The head just pops off to do the replacement head, which I still don't quite understand. But anyway, articulation-wise, it's on a double hinge that has a swivel at the base of the neck, so it operates like a universal joint, but it's relatively hard to utilize because of the tolerance of the joints. But you can get up to there, full down, swivel, no confused Stinger face because of the, there's no ball peg. All right. Moving on to the torso here, we have this little waist part that you have to kind of flip up and out of the way to utilize some bits, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Black paint, metallic, metal paint, silver, looks good. Sculpt work is decent. You get the swivel. These bits here can rotate up and out of the way to allow for, right now it's kind of impinging the articulation, but it can get out of the way. And you can get all the way around if you continue manipulating it. And then you get an ab crunch, but really, honestly, I don't count that sort of thing. It's more of a transformation point. It's not ratcheted or anything, so you can't really utilize it for posing. So technically, there is a joint there that resembles an ab crunch, but also technically it doesn't operate as such. So take that for what it's worth. Shoulders, mess. So there is a base hinge here lower inside the chest, then another hinge at the top of that joint, and then another hinge at the actual shoulder itself. Using all of them, you really only get the shoulder out, to 90 degrees, because of the stuff on his arm. You do get the swivel around, and that's it. Bicep swivel, no. You get a forearm swivel. That's not going to act the same. Double jointed elbow that gets you a little bit more than 90 degrees. Let me make sure there's no bicep swivel in there, because I feel like there should be. Car detailings, we'll talk about that in car mode. These bits can, you know, slide forward and back. You can kind of articulate them as you'd like. The red is painted on top of the black here. The wrist swivel, hinge in, out. The thumb has a base, as a ball peg, comes out to a base pen knuckle and then a secondary hinge. The fingers are individually articulated on a base pen knuckle and also on a secondary hinge. And that covers the arms. Let's back out. We'll look at the hips. Universals, once again, you kind of got to manipulate that piece. There's also other kind of stuff in there, so you're really pretty limited with your outward movement. Forward and back, not a problem. Thigh swivel. We do have some paint, silver paint on the pelvis piece, and then we have some red paint over top of the black here. Thigh swivel, did I talk about that? If not, there you go. There's a double hinge knee, but the bottom joint there, that one works better. This one's really tight. It gets you more than 90 degrees, and you can use the kneecap to cover down, which I actually do like. Remember to adjust it when you move back forward. Then we have down here, most of this might be painted. It's hard to tell because there's like glossy plastic and then the metallic paints. There's a slight toe tilt up, not really an ankle tilt down, and an ankle rocker with some silver paint and such. Let's talk about some more problems with this guy. And what is, I have my phone in my sweatshirt pocket. It keeps moving my tripod. So he's standing there nicely now, but he does have some pretty hard times staying balanced. This is the heel spur, but it doesn't sit at the heel. It sits to the side of the heel and doesn't really aid the robot at all in standing. It's really just a waste. And then you have these things on the back, and all of these bits move. So you can kind of pose them however you want. They're a little bit of a challenge to kind of work with, but you get the idea. And then he's just kind of generally fiddly, man. Like, it doesn't feel like it needs more ratchets and more like stable, solid joints. It's just this is undoubtedly I think the worst Unique Toys action figure that I've looked at in their movie line. Like, I tend to quite like their movie line stuff. Even though I don't like those movies or those characters, I tend to quite like what Unique Toys does. But this is certainly an exception. Let's do a size comparison. The size comparison wise, I don't have anything to kind of show him off with that makes sense because I don't really do this sort of thing. But there he is with MMC's Rodimus and a Masterpiece car. And hopefully that will give you some sort of an idea as to what you're working with. All right, let's get him transformed. I've already tucked away all of the blades inside of the tires to save you guys the pain that it is to watch someone do that. We're going to rotate this so that these peg and holes line up with the corresponding tire on the other side. And then plug it in, plug it in. Same up for top and bottom. Come on. Not in front of my friends. Don't embarrass me in front of my friends. Oh, I've got it upside down. It's hard to see the black plastic. Okay. On the front here, you have to drop down these shoulder blades and tuck the head down, I think down and forward. And then you can open up the chest here and unlock these flank pieces. If these bits here get in your way, you can tuck them inside and rotate them down. That's where they ultimately belong anyway. So we'll just go ahead and do that now. They're like springs. And all right, so untab both flank pieces, and then all of this should sort of fillet open in relatively, standard Unique Toys fashion. Rotate these pieces down on the back, and then rotate the pelvis pieces up and then angle the other pieces back. And that has to be flat, I think. There you go. Okay, untab this leg panel here, and there's this section that comes out from the back. Spin that around 180, and then collapse this piece over top of it so it sits more sort of streamlined. And then move your foot out of the way so that you can get this section out, but it also has to go around this other section that we just flipped open. So just spin that back, and then I think that sits in there. This you can sort of leave out for the moment. The heel tucks in. This silver piece on the side of the foot untabs and rotates forward, and then the toe collapses, and that sits in the pocket of the calf slash shin. Then we have to rotate this piece so that the tire is facing up. This bottom knee joint needs to rotate back, kind of like a dog's leg, and then the knee tucks down and covers down on top. This panel, make sure you stay out of the way, and this heel thing, I don't know what to call it, needs to rotate up and just be out of the way. We'll sort that out later on if we need to. All of this needs to open up. So just use deductive reasoning. The window needs to flip up. It needs to form the side of the car. This is on a slider. Utilize that. Spin it around. Now, once you have the side of the car built, this swings around. There's a tab on the side of the thigh that goes to a corresponding, no, I'm sorry, there's a tab inside the tire that goes to a corresponding port on the thigh. And then there's another tab or peg on the whatever you want to call this, the bottom of this panel that will go into the quote-unquote heel spur that doesn't really work. All right, and it's just black on black plastic, so and I'm operating in the shadows for that top part, so we'll just do our best. And the bottom part has another tab there. I forgot about that one. That goes into a slot as well. There. And that's that. All right. Other leg, same thing. So get this one out of the way. Open up this back piece here. Spin that 180. And then fold the one piece in on itself. You can rotate this foot down in order to get ultimate access to this panel. And this panel, unfortunately, needs to swing out and up and over and around for this panel to come in underneath and sit flat. Then we're going to open all of this up. Actually, we're going to rotate it around. We're going to move our knee into position by rocking it back. We're going to tuck the kneecap in. And then we're going to open all of this up. Remember, this panel here is on a slider, so that will slide up. This panel will flip around. The window will come up. And then this swings to the front of the tire. This foot needs to come back up. The silver piece needs to untab and then rotate around to the front. And then the foot needs to fold up. And all of this needs to go inside of the calf slash shin area. And then this panel comes up and there's one tab on the back of the tire that needs to tab into the thigh, and then a couple tabs down in the lower body that need to tab in to the calf. Make sure that you have this, another poor excuse for a heel spur, out of the way. All right, this next part's a real pain. I'm gonna do my best. Flip these down. Keep track of these. Rotate the legs up 90 degrees. And these angular pieces from the chest need to go underneath these panels, and then these panels sandwich back down on them. So there's one. And you got to do it kind of all in sequence there so that you can get all of that compressed. And this sits in the front. Then you got to rework some of this stuff in the back. So there's a slot in the back for that panel. There. And a slot in the back for this panel. And then this piece comes down and tabs in, and then these pieces come around. Obviously I've got this one off, but if I can get one, and then this one comes down on this side. Oh, and that tab came out. There we go. There we go. We're not out of the woods yet, but that's a good start. So we got to get access, and this head just comes off, man. So just to these pieces here, they flip out. You can put your head back in, and then this comes around. These come over top of these two pegs. That's where they'll sit, these two red panels that you just flipped out. The tires need to be fed through underneath. That's just a peg, not broken. And then there's tabs. I'll try to show you. Once again, it's just hard. Let me bring in a little bit more light on the subject. And where's my spudger? I don't see it. There's a tab here and here that align with ports on both sides of those tires, and you just need to make that a solid connection. And then make sure that your window's clear. Oh, come on. Oh my God. I'm going to have to resort all that. Make sure your windows, I'll redo the other side. Make sure your windows clear that little section because they peg in back onto the car. So this side is right. This side just came completely undone. So I'll rework that and I'll meet back up with you. For the arms, untab this section on the forearm, rotate these missiles inward, and then rotate, this is on a bit of a slider too, I think. Rotate that around 180, collapse that back down, and then this will re-tab into the other side of the arm. Make sure that that's collapsed. And then you want to break the connection at the shoulder and the bicep. And we want to untab this fender piece, straighten all of the arm joints, and rotate the fender piece on the other side, and that's not quite right. I'm just going to leave it like that for the time being. There's a lot that goes on with these arms, so let me get the other one to that level. So open up this piece, extend this panel, and then rotate it 180 degrees. Bring this piece back, tab it into the other side, fold those spikes in. Make sure your arm joint is straight here. Untab the fender and rotate it around to the other side and break the connection at the bicep and the shoulder. All right, to get the fenders where you need them, they bang up against this section of the black plastic. You just need to bend plastic around plastic to get it on the other side. So let's go ahead and do that as well. This one's already been done, but you know, it was sitting on the other side, and now it's sitting on this side. And then rotate the fenders around to the top. So we need to rotate the shoulder up and then the bicep back down so that the peg is facing, the peg of the shoulder here is facing towards the bottom of the tire. And then fold up the elbow and fold that in as well. And then you're going to bring this around, and you'll know you have it right if you get this peg here to go into that port. That is mission success. You know, this two hinges up here are what you're going to utilize for it. And it sucks, but that is kind of it. Okay, so same thing on this side. We need to rotate that shoulder piece up in order for the peg to face down towards the tire. Rotate the bicep down, make a fist, and then rotate these pieces up. Oh, and there's one other thing. Oh, shoot. This piece here has to fold up. Yes. And I think that that is actually supposed to, but I'll have to mess with it. So, all right, so this folds up, and then this folds in. Get that piece out. And then once again, that piece just has to fit. There's one. There's the other. I mean, it's pretty close. It's not quite right. As you can see, I got some stuff that needs some fixing down here. But, I mean, that's the main components. I will tighten this up so that we can move forward. These pegs right here need to come through those ports there. But I'll tighten this up. We'll come back and take a look at it. And that's the best I could do. I still got one panel that I can't get quite tight enough there. Here it is next to Tiger Track, so about the size of an MP car. This one I realized this is actually the panel that I have closest inside, tucked in, but I have the rubber tire. It's like the rubber has come off and gotten all jammed up. The more I try to mess with this, the more it kind of comes undone. It's also, there's a lot of low-hanging pieces here that, like, I can't even get the back tires really to move right. The silver paint looks good. There's red paint on the car. That looks good. All the paint in the vehicle mode looks great, to be honest. Yeah, it's just this one panel in particular that I'm having a really hard time with. Yeah, these side mirrors, they swivel around. Back looks good. You got the tail lights painted silver. Odd choice, but it looks good. Front looks very clean. You know, I love the translucent against the black plastic. It gives that like glass look, but doesn't show the guts and innards inside. Smart choice there. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to talk about with this. It's fine. I'm not sure it's worth the cost of admission, but it is fine. Final thoughts wise, we'll start with the negatives. It just doesn't feel well built. It feels flimsy and floppy, which is something I'm not used to feeling with Unique Toys. I think Unique Toys makes a really good product. I think they make great movie figures, probably the best masterpiece movie figures that we've ever seen. There's some weird joint choices, like the triple hinges in the shoulders that don't actually do a whole lot other than exist. Really tight tolerance on the lower knee joint on his left leg specifically. The heels are wonky and he has a hard time balancing, specifically when standing straight up. Weird tolerance on the joints in the neck, which make the head hard to articulate if you don't remove it from the body. The sword blade thing on his forearm should have had the mechanical parts painted. It's really like half-baked, man. It's sloppy. I think that while the transformation is super unique and interesting, it's not effective, and I think that might be a materials choice. It just doesn't want to hold itself together as thoroughly as you would hope. The kind of conclusion to the vehicle mode in the process of getting there is really kind of a letdown, and I'm sure that somebody can do it better than me. There's no doubt there, but that doesn't change the fact that it's like it does leave a little bit to be desired. There's also some steps in the transformation where you have to like bend plastic around plastic, scoop plastic up underneath plastic, and that sort of stuff is the stuff that, in my opinion, gets in the way of enjoying the transformation process. Moving on to the positives, this is gonna be hard to do. The paint, where it is applying clean, sharp, and well, and helps accentuate the aesthetics of the figure. The sculpt work is really well done. Kind of what you would typically expect from Unique Toys when tackling the Bayverse stuff. Comes with a ton of accessories, and they all add to the physical intimidation element as well as aesthetic. And the base plastics that are being used here don't feel bad. It also comes with some articulation, double jointed knees, ankle rocker, nice range, up, down, and swivel for the head and neck. Fully articulated hands, etc., wrist hinge in and out. There is some real nice additives there. And while I have issues with how the kind of, materials and some of the bending plastic around plastic stuff affects the overall process of the transformation, don't be confused for a second. I do recognize how brilliant the concept of the transformation still remains. It's just like, unlike some of their other offerings, the follow-through just isn't there. And thus, I cannot with a good conscience recommend this to you. Hope that helps. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.